With us today, we have Dr. Sergei Samoilenko, instructor at the Department of Communication at George Mason University. Dr. Samoilenko is the founding member of CARP, the Research Lab for Character Assassination and Reputation Politics. Dr. Samoilenko, thank you so much for joining us today.
It's my pleasure. Thanks for having me.
So I guess my first question to you is why character assassination? Why did you put so much research and time into it?
Well, thanks. It's a wonderful question, and actually it's quite a popular question because everybody wants to ask me why I would do something like this, why instead of researching ethics or researching, let's say, strategic techniques, I would look at something that bad as character assassination. And my answer is, well, somebody has to do it because as a social scientist, when I see something happening, I cannot just ignore it. This is my duty to make sure we look at this social phenomenon and we try to understand it. And indeed, if it really plays a big role in changing dynamics in our society, we have to understand how to deal with that.
So let's switch gears first and start with ad hominem. Can you give us a brief explanation of ad hominem and how it works?
So ad hominem arguments are arguments targeting a person instead of targeting an argument or a particular point of discussion. There are different ways how ad hominem could be used. So in recent years, they've been more and more considered as practical, strategic means of winning the debate and winning it at the expense of delegitimizing the other person. So in other words, they could be used for shifting the course of the conversation, of taking somebody out as a political opponent, as simply destroying someone's reputation, in fact. So in fact, in this case, ad hominem could be really seen as one of the vehicles and tools of character assassination per se. And in my research, I've been looking at ad hominem in a climate change debate because what I found and previous research found as well, that ad hominem has been seen as the most popular strategies, in fact, in climate change debate, which I use much more frequently than attacks on policy. So in my research, I was looking at different types of ad hominem used in attacks on climate scientists and how frequent those attacks happen. Also, I was wondering what we can do about that and whether certain critical questions that were outlined by Douglas Walton could, first of all, illuminate errors in different attacks and whether we could use some of those critical questions for future inoculation purposes. So in this case, ad hominem really represent an interesting field of study.
Would you say ad hominem is the most common technique used to attack climate science?
So that's what previous research shows. In fact, research by John Cook and his colleagues showed that indeed ad hominem is the most popular technique used. So John looked at basically the use of climate misinformation. And so in one of his texts, he was looking at several arguments made by contrarians saying that, well, climate change is not real. Well, if it's real, if it's not us, we're not doing this. So, well, if it's real, well, it's not that bad. So, and the fourth one, well, there is no hope. There is nothing you can do. So let's not just talk about this. So, and basically, the previous four are really used a lot in debates. Those are very common narratives. But the fifth narrative, which is really one of the most prominent, what they found the most popular, that experts are not reliable. They're not reliable because science is unreliable, because scientists themselves are unreliable, they cannot be trusted, and climate science is a conspiracy, and therefore climate scientists are conspiracists themselves. So And that's how I actually become interested in these topics. So I was really digging into kind of the use of ad hominem in this climate change debate.
So is it claiming that climate scientists then have some type of a bias?
So what I have found in my research is that the three types of ad hominem attacks that identified as shaping climate change discourse. First one is attacks on scientists' morality. So they are immoral, they are greedy, they are there for their vested interests, they have some shady dealings. So any type of imperfection of moral character has been used to attack climate scientists, including accusations of sexual misconduct and many, many other sins. The second one is inconsistent behavior. They don't practice what they preach. So there is a lot of inconsistency climate scientists being accused of. And the third one is bias. The accusation of bias attacks were found by me by the most common form of contrarian ad hominem.
And you mentioned that ad hominem is a technique that would fall under character assassination.
Ad hominem is definitely can be used for character assassination purposes because character assassination, if we take this, look at it as an umbrella term, obviously it's a deliberate effort to discredit individual or group target via the means of subversive communication. So ad hominem is one of them. But aside, in addition, there could be different methods used because ad hominem implies that there is an open discussion and open debate. So at least it happens in the public sphere, right? So people can see what type of attacks are being used against between the attacker and the target. But character assassination efforts don't have to be just based on an open debate. You know, they can be clandestine, they could be used in a very secretive way. And one of the example I use is different erasing from memory techniques. I also call them obliteration strategies, where sometimes people's achievements, accomplishments being eliminated from public memory. And especially now, it's really easy, can be done on Wikipedia. So Wikipedia becomes quite a popular source for that type of character assassination attack. So in this case, character assassination has lots and lots of different types and subtypes. Character assassination happening in the media environment. So obliteration strategy is one of them. So the second one is a contamination strategy, and the third one is a provocation strategy. So the contamination strategy
is there usually is there usually an order they take place in?
So not necessarily. I mean, sometimes they could be combined, and sometimes they can be just used as one, because we have also looked at the effectiveness of those strategies. So, for example, if provocation or staging scandal would not work, maybe instead of staging an open media scandal, you can just contaminate someone's public discourse by spreading rumor or spreading misinformation about the person. Like fake news is a perfect example how someone's reputation can be destroyed.
Yeah, you mentioned one of these strategies is taking advantage of a scandal that already exists. Which one was that again?
So provocation strategies has two subtypes. You either create a scandal, and we talk about the scandal production techniques or reputational crisis production techniques, or you try to take advantage of already smoldering scandal, something that is already happening. So in the journalistic practice, it's sometimes called newsjacking, when you hijack already happening news and you try to insert your own agenda And that's basically the cheapest and the most effective way if you can do that. But obviously, you can also produce a new scandal by attacking a person online or accusing a person of things he hasn't done before. And also, yeah, there are different ways how you can do that. So the more and more I actually study character assassination, the more I learn myself, and I realize that basically this research topic is unlimited in terms of things we can learn about.
Can you discuss a little bit the role of what you call mediatization?
Yes. So mediatization basically means that the media as an institution has become so powerful that it prevails over the other institutions like politics, and it has enough power to impose its own logic. Like, for example, politicians have to act accordingly to the media rules. And because what we call the commercial logic has really been dependent on clickbait, because the more topics that have to do with drama, conflict, negativity, stereotypes you can promote out there, the more chances that people are likely to click on them, because we, unfortunately, as the audience, we like negative news, and it's a reality right now. So mediatization really has an impact on basically why character assassination has become a norm, because it's profitable.
If you were advising a politician to be a hard target for character assassination, what advice would you give as an expert on the technique?
In the United States?
Yes.
In the United States, you really have to practice what you preach. And even if you have any imperfections, if you really have any past things that you're ashamed of, you really have to let public know at some point about them, because if it will be revealed later in the campaign, it will backfire and your chances are pretty slim.
So then be preemptive with trying to get that information out before it's gotten out.
Right. So preemptively. So so we can talk about different preemptive strategies. So unfortunately, some people are using what they call stealing the thunder approach, which they only use it when they fear that something is about to be disclosed. And that usually backfires. So Lance Armstrong is a perfect example right there. Right. So he was using the stealing the thunder approach. So kind of talking about his case, and that people just didn't side with him. So because he was such a big icon before and the standards were pretty high.
Based on your overall knowledge of the current media landscape, what should we as citizens be looking out for when it comes to character assassination?
We cannot ignore it. We should study it if we want to understand it, and if we want to learn how to counter it. And we should invest more in education, because by, again, pretending it does not exist or we're not doing it, we're not really solving the problem. We're actually making it much worse. So we together can do something about this, because we truly believe that it affects the foundations of democracy. And normalizing uncivil discourse, and by basically making it almost impossible to reach consensus, whether it's a political discussion or it's a civil discussion.
And over your years of studying character assassination, was there one thing you can think of that you found really intriguing that you didn't expect?
To be quite honest, I didn't really expect this to be such a big of a problem, because I started studying character assassination by looking at several books, and I was quite intrigued on why the use of ad hominem is not really talked much about in public relations and crisis communication. And when I started digging it kind of more, I realized that the problem is huge.
So it's a bigger problem than you were aware until you started really.
Right. So I wasn't aware of the magnitude of this problem.
Okay, it looks like we're out of time for today. Again, Dr. Samoilenko is one of the founding members of CARP, the Research Lab for Character Assassination and Reputation Politics, which you can see at carplab.wordpress.com. He's done so much research and writing in the field on this, and you definitely want to check it out. We really appreciate you coming on with us, Dr. Samoilenko, and to talk to us about these techniques. And we hope that you'll come back soon.
Thank you. Thank you.